Hey, founders, today we're going to talk about whether or not you can start a tech startup without a technical background. This is something that's been on my mind for a long time. So for those of you that have known me for a while, you may remember that my very first startup was a business called Go Grab Lunch. We launched it in 2010, and I knew next to nothing about tech. I knew next to nothing about programming. I didn't know a whole lot. Matter of fact, when I came up with the idea, the reason I gave my older brother that I was not going to pursue it was because I didn't have a technical background. I told him I didn't know any programming. This is exactly how the conversation went. He said to me, I love this idea. You have to do it. And I came back and said, I can't do it. I don't know anything about programming. And he said, the idea, Go Grab Lunch, is built around networking. You're Mr. Networking. Surely you know some programmers. And he was right. I did. I knew some. I actually knew one particular gentleman named Frank who ended up becoming my co-founder with Go Grab Lunch. I met him at a networking event. We had known each other for a while, and I went up to him and I said, Frank, I've got this idea. And I told him about what I was building. And instead of asking him if he would join me, I actually said, do you happen to know anyone who has a technical background that might be looking to be a co-founder on a startup? And I'll never forget watching Frank get excited about the idea. And he actually volunteered to be my co-founder and Go Grab Lunch. You should never, ever let a lack of technical skills stop you from starting a tech startup. I do wish I had known more about technology and programming and things like that when I was creating Go Grab Lunch, but I didn't. Nowadays, I host and design all my own business websites. Now, you might say that doesn't take a lot of programming. You're right, but it takes some skills in understanding technology. And what I did as a founder of a tech startup without a technical background was I just focused on the things that I was really good at, which was I have a marketing degree. I focused on sales. We actually brought in my older brother who had a better sales pedigree than I did. And he was our co-founder and brought in that sales skill we were lacking. I focused on my finance background, which all of you should recognize by now. And of course, as a tech startup, you're going to have to fundraise at some point. So I knew that would be helpful. And I focused on what I would later learn in my career was what would be considered product management skills. So designing a product and what should go into one and launching a product and all those things. Yes, it would have been helpful to have some technical skills, but I don't think it's mandatory. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of ways that as a non-technical founder, you can launch a tech startup. So I'm going to run you through a couple of options that exist. And the first one is what I talked about. You can find a technical co-founder, which is exactly what I did with Go Grab Lunch. I shared with Frank the vision, and he wanted to co-found it with me. And so the key to this option is being able to find the right co-founder in the first place. Now, Frank and I had our differences every now and then, but for the most part, in most cases, we worked really, really well together. I made some mistakes, he made some mistakes, those kinds of things. But there are plenty of ways in today's startup ecosystem to find co-founders. You can network like I did. You can be involved in your local startup community. Maybe you meet them at accelerators or incubators that are available in your town, or you can, meet co-founders online through all kinds of websites that exist out there. Angel List that I talked about in a recent video has the ability to match you with co-founders. There are even startups themselves that focus on pairing co-founders together. You could apply to an accelerator and they will kind of pair you with co-founders. There's this idea of what's called startup studios, and these are organizations that have plenty of ideas and they're just looking for people to build on those. And so then they will pair you with a co-founder. So there are plenty of ways to find a technical co-founder if you feel like you don't have enough skills to pull off what you're trying to do. The second option you have as a non-technical founder is to outsource that work. Now, not everyone has a discretionary income that they can invest into paying someone to build their tech startup or maybe their app or their website or something like that. I know back when Go Grab Lunch was being launched, I didn't have a bunch of discretionary income. I had just enough to kind of incorporate the business and get us rolling. And I was not going to be able to pay programmers to build this idea for me. That's why I had to go find a co-founder. But if you happen to have enough discretionary income, and it's pretty inexpensive to start a business these days, if you have enough discretionary income, you can outsource this work. There's a couple of challenges here. The pluses of doing something like that is when you go to the engineering team that you're paying to build this and you say, I want this feature in the product, they don't have a choice but to do it because you're the customer. If you've got a co-founder and you're saying, I want this piece of functionality in the product, they may disagree with you. And if you can't make them do it, they can just choose not to create that code. There are some minuses with outsourcing the work. So it costs a lot of money is the obvious one. And then also, when you go to raise capital, you're not going to have technical skills inside the team. And a lot of investors look for that. So there's some things to kind of be aware of. The third thing to think about is what really got me thinking about this post in the first place, which is the idea of no-code solutions. Now, no-code solutions are all the rage right now. You just Google it and you'll find a lot of people talking about it, but they really have been around for a long time. Let me give you an example. You can think of no-code. Basically, it allows a founder to create software through a graphical interface and configuration. So way to think about this is a drag and drop programming functionality. So let me give you an example. If by chance you have ever built a website through WordPress or any of these other solutions, to insert different pieces of functionality into a website, like just an image, you don't have to know the HTML or CSS to insert that image. You just grab a sort of widget and you drop it in on the website, on the web page where you want that image to be. And then let's say you want some text right next to your image, right? Then you just grab another widget and drop it in, a text widget, and then you enter the text that you want. So that is actually what I would consider no-code programming, which is pretty cool. The same approach can be used for developing software. As a matter of fact, there are companies who specialize in facilitating the creation of software using no-code platforms. Now, I'm just going to be candid. I researched all of these, but I have never used any of them myself. Again, since 2010, flash forward 12 years later, I at least have some technical skills of my own these days. So I have not tried to use these in any of my business ventures, but they are out there. And the reason I'm willing to share them with you is because they all came up inside a Slack group that I am part of over 8,000 product managers. And so these are people who really understand no code. And so I trust their opinion. So there are 4 different ones you can research and look into. The first one is called Sketch, and then Figma, Figma, Bubble, just like it sounds like in English, Bubble, Bubble, is actually the most popular that was talked about on my Slack group. And then there is a company called Softr, Softr. These are all no-code solutions that either specialize in no-code or have that as part of their offering. Check them out. The whole key to this, guys, is that you don't have to be a programmer to bring your idea to life, especially early on. There's nothing that should be stopping you from creating an app that you want to build by using no-code solutions, or even using some of these solutions just to develop the wireframes, so sort of the pictures and flow of what you think your app may look like. You can still get your business started if you don't have the technical skills. Don't let that hold you back from bringing your idea to life. Try some of these options. Go find a co-founder. Fund it out of your own pocket if you have that kind of earnings, or use some no-code solutions and get that idea out into the market. Till next time, hope that helps and hope you find your voice. Have a great day.